everyone to the number 2 of this podcast from the S.H.O.P, the Social Hub of Positivity. It does start to sound like a jingle. It won't be a jingle, obviously. That's just ridiculous. A very special person with us today. The brains and the looks behind Can Do Arts for Sustainable Development. One and only Donna Lee. Hello, Donna Lee.
Hello, Ed.
How are you?
Fancy meeting you here.
Fancy meeting you here. Now, here we've got a funny little story I'm going to tell you today about three very special people that turned up. That fate had sent us, right? So I'm going to hand over very quickly to one of these ladies so she can tell you about a little initiative in Calm. I'll hand over to Donna and you can think. So I'm going to go and... I'll go this way.
Hello. Enter Naomi. Hugo.
Hi.
We've only just met about 10 minutes ago because I was walking through Emery Gate and heard these 2 little voices, a baby crying and 2 voices go, "Where have all the benches gone?" And I said, come and sit in our shop. And that's how we've met. Which is
very
quite
kind.
So we're in here and it's a bit chilly and Hugo was too hot, unlike everybody else. And
You soon calmed down and cooled down.
and he's now feeling a bit better. So you're from Calm, we've found out.
I'm Chippenham.
You're
That
Chippenham.
one's gone.
And Tanya's from Calm.
Yes.
Yeah. And you've got some sort of initiative going on in Calm that you're working on?
My sister is taking part in some Calm community work.
Sit down 2 seconds.
Have a
Sorry,
seat.
yes.
Painting some murals around the town and doing some artwork as part of the community project. I don't really know much more about the project, but they're trying to get the community involved. They've got a little pop-up garden and just doing things around town.
Is it the bit behind Sainsbury's?
I think so, yeah.
Right.
And like all part of Abbott Brook. I'm not really too sure who's organising it all.
Okay.
But yeah, there seems to be quite a lot of community work going on around there too.
Yeah. So that's something I've noticed recently, just driving behind Sainsbury's in Calm, that there's loads of paintings and flowers and knitted flowers and all sorts of things going on in the garden.
Trying to get people sort of involved in the community and stuff.
people sort of standing having coffee at long distances from each other. And,
I'm not sure about that one.
well,
I'm just going to have a look.
It looked really nice.
Yeah.
So your sister's doing the murals as
she does. She set up a page before Christmas. She has MS and does painting to sort of help keep her mind busy and keep her hands busy. And she started just posting some paintings that she'd done on her Facebook page, and then sold a few as Christmas presents, and then it's like kind of gone from there. And she got approached doing different things, the little pop-up shop on the murals side of Calm.
Wow.
Yeah,
And if we
very
wanted to
exciting.
find some information about it, where will we look?
Her page is called Art from the Heart.
Art from the Heart.
I'm not sure who runs the mural side of things.
You can link us, can't you? We can put it on this Facebook.
Yeah, I can link her page, Art from the Heart, on Facebook, and then it should be able to follow it on through there.
Maybe we can interview them people as well.
Yeah,
I don't
get
mind
her
Zoom
in
or in person.
Yeah,
You're
and she'll know
fantastic.
more. Thank you.
That's really good. And just quickly, you went to John Bentley School, didn't you?
I did go to John Bentley School.
What was Gordon Trafford like?
He was cool.
Excellent. Now we're going to promote one of his poetry books.
Poetry books?
It was your first time in here by sheer accident.
Yeah.
What was your first impression of this place?
It's really nice, all the artwork, and it's nice that it's all sort of like local stuff.
Yeah.
And you're all very friendly and nice to let us get out of the cold. Yeah.
Well,
really nice.
you're our first visitors.
Wait!
Yeah.
Lovely to meet you.
By sheer fate.
Actually.
Come back again, keep in contact on Facebook, and we'd love you to and there's a baby thing that you're involved in, Maya, isn't there?
Baby thing.
Yeah, a baby group. Right, nice one, you guys.
Thank you. Lovely to meet you.
Thank you for doing that. Spot on. Spot on.
Thank you for letting us come.
It's a pleasure. So that was a nice interlude. Lovely to meet those wonderful people and link up with that initiative in Calm. There's another initiative that we hope to link up with, and we're going to show you some photographs from Avon Needs Trees. So there's a website, and we'll put a link onto that. I'm quite excited by what they do. It's never been a time when we really need to really collectively focus on the things that are important. That's each other and our mental health and emotional well-being and physical well-being. Of course, all the frontline workers, all the unitary bodies, all the people that are doing their best to help us get through this wonderful pandemic. Anyhow, there's various initiatives that we want to link everyone with, and individuals that are doing great work. We've got some brilliant feedback on our Facebook page, and thank you so much for all your comments. And we will, of course, be following up. We've got artists that Brian's going to interview from, and which we followed up from last week. We had a fantastic conversation today with Ashley O'Neill. I hope he doesn't mind me mentioning him on this. He's one of our local councillors, and a really fantastic conversation about all sorts of important stuff that I think that the council want us to help get people involved in consulting on, which will be the whether or not we have a ring road or a distributor road consultation. We're going to link something to that as well, and also to the housing developments, which presumably there will be a vote to say whether people want it or not, as opposed to it's a fait accompli. Anyway, so there's lots of different things, but Ashley O'Neill, fantastic councillor, and I want to just say wish his family well, because it's a very difficult time with illness and what have you. But I really look forward to meeting up and getting councillors and anyone else that wants to talk about issues that pertain to the community, not party political stuff. That's gone. That's not going to work anymore. We need to come together as a community, common unity, that which unifies us commonly. Anyway, very very important aspect of what we're going to talk about is about people's mental health, and this is particularly why Donna, who's a multifaceted, multi-talented, for those of people who know an individual who used to be the counsellor at John Bentley School, and is now, as I say, the brains and the whatever of Can-Do Arts for Sustainable Development. Talk a little bit about mental health, Donna. Any life hacks that you want to talk about with regard to mental health? It's not a light subject, but at the same time it's really important.
I was looking the other day at what might be useful to send. Well, at the moment we've got lots of our young people on remote learning, and lots of parents and home educating, trying to do homeschooling, trying to manage their own lives and their work. Everybody's under quite a lot of stress, and one of the things that I've noticed during lockdown more and more is this, with this third lockdown, is it now? Is with this third lockdown, people seem very more down about it. This is no evidence here, but it's just sort of perception. People seem more down about it and seem to almost be taking the whole pandemic, the fact that schools are closed, that NHS is overloaded, that they can't see family, all sorts of things, almost personally, and that people feel kind of upset, isolated, and personally quite offended and a little bit angry at things around them. And that, obviously, feeling like that a lot of the time has an impact on one's mental health and can isolate you even further. And I was looking, when you said about hacks, life hacks, and are there life hacks that you can sort of grab on or read and go, oh yeah, I really ought to do that, that'll make me better. And I think rather than a particular hack, maybe looking at things more as a whole is more effective, because we all know that you should probably eat really well, you should probably get some exercise every day, you should probably think, relatively positively. Do some hard work so that you're not always thinking within yourself. If you get a chance to do something physical, work-wise, that's always a good idea. Don't smoke, don't drink as much, all those things are really good ideas. And most people know that. Yeah, sitting in front of the telly eating endless amounts of chocolate with a beer in your hand probably isn't your best way to keep your mental health great.
Right, Donna, I don't be personal.
However, we all know that. Yeah, there's no one in the world. And also, when I was looking through what would be useful to send families and young people, there were lots of tips about mental health, little brochures on good mental health, maintaining your mental health. And again, there seem to be lots of lists. Get some exercise, go out, do all that. So I think one of the things that would be really useful sometimes is for us all to kind of go, what is it that stops me doing those things, even though I know I should? That's a really interesting question. What is it that stops me doing it? And once you begin to think about what actually stops you doing those things, it makes it easier to do it, because the barriers to doing it aren't as great, if that makes sense. So that's one thing. Another one, I think, is about excuses that we make ourselves for not doing stuff. If you find a lot of time in your life that you're kind of going, well, I'd do it if only ... wasn't the case, or I'm only annoyed because such and such did this, or if this would happen, then I could do this. That if we justify an excuse all the time and we find ourselves doing that, it's very hard to do something positive, because you're always putting it outside of yourself rather than trying to take some ownership. So I suppose my life hack would be try not to, if you find yourself defending or excusing everything, then have a little think about why you're doing that. And also do all those things that if you can, within your realms, because it's not that easy. It's not that easy to get out and have a nice walk and commune with nature if you're stuck in one room, 3 floors up with 4 children. That is almost impossible.
You can do things like stretching yoga. Here's the thing, and I know this is going to sound ridiculous, but I'm quite interested in doing a video of housework exercise, because I'm serious. I think that also men need to, as a concept, it's really good to be self-sufficient, to be independent, but to understand the benefit of interdependence. Same goes for humanity and nature. We're not apart from nature, we're a part of nature. So we're not friends of the earth. The earth will survive without us. We're just parasites that are not doing a good job of looking after our own habitat. Some crazy stuff there. Anyhow, let's get back to the mental health stuff. So if you have just got a small space, doing the good thing about housework without using major chemicals and trying to do it as organically and cheaply, but also without loads of poison going on around your house. The idea of doing exercise, think about stretching, think about also the benefit of knowing that you have changed something that was once in one state, and it might not even be that dirty, but dirty enough to potentially cause you discomfort, but organise and to use it as a way of exercising your mind, and while you're doing it, getting into a flow and thinking of the physical aspect of it, but at the benefit of having an organised and knowing where everything is, and not having the stress on a day-to-day basis of maybe not finding things. He said, as he just came in and dropped his wallet before he left the house.
Well, on that note, that's kind of
on
it
that
about
pound note that was in my wallet.
That.
I dropped in the house.
On that note, it's like I just said about actually doing some physical work rather than specific exercise and combining the two. And the other thing, the nice thing about doing a bit of housework and cleaning is it's a finishable job. If you kind of decide, right, I'm going to just clear out my sock drawer. It doesn't need to be massive, house thing. I'm going to clear out my sock drawer, or I'm going to move all those bits of paper into a sensible stack, or whatever it is. It's a kind of finishable job. And in a world when we don't know when a lockdown is going to end, and we don't know when we're going to see our friends, and we don't know what's going to happen, having something that's really small and tangible, and you go, oh, I did that today. Yeah, I've sorted that out, and I can now find that pair of socks. It's quite a nice feeling. The other thing that's kind of really weird and counterintuitive that's worth remembering is there's quite a lot of evidence and research to suggest that if we say, I'm going to start doing yoga, or I'm going to start doing more exercise, or I'm going to start knitting, or whatever you've decided to do, that if you announce that you're going to do it, you're less likely to do it than you are if you just get on with it. It's really interesting. And there's some weird psychology that goes on almost, that if you announce it you feel a bit better because you think that you've told everyone that you're a good person and that you're going to do it, whereas actually it's loads more effective if you just do it and you don't and you've done it and you feel good about it and you don't really need to tell anyone else about it, and that's quite an interesting little bit.
I really want to emphasise the thing about the housework thing though, for it being a male thing as well, that includes your own space if you have one. You're looking at to have your own room, to have your own bedroom, really nice and harmonious. Not hippie, just organised so you don't trip over things and you can find things. You can start the day and end the day in a relative peace. Be grateful. Think of all the things that we can be grateful. Look at the photographs we've got on this podcast today from the people at Avon Needs Trees initiative. Kevin, thank you so much. It was lovely talking to Sue the other day from that initiative. But to say, well, there you go. If you haven't got your own garden, when lockdown finishes, there's all places like Ed and Needs Trees. That's in Caen. That's a forest and an environmental and necessary project. We kind of got to think in those terms. We need to reclaim land because we can't really rely on international trade. We just realised we can't. Planes aren't flying, etc., etc. If anyone's tried to get a parcel from Europe recently, I had an additional £90 charge on some supplements. £90. They never mentioned that in the small print of Brexit. Not that I'm for or against any of those things. People got to make their own minds up. Not a problem. However, we do really need to think about our local environment, our urban and our natural environment. Think about maybe instead of industrialization or of either industry, which is negative for the environment, pollution, etc., even farm industry. The idea about having more organic farms, let's reinvest money and buy back the county farms. Let's use the county farms initiative as a way of supplying us with local seasonal crops. I'm not even talking about livestock, man. I'm just talking about crops and plants and it be in harmony with all the bees, the trees and the fleas, whatever they are, right? Anyway, we need that on a local basis. We need to be self-sufficient, but understand we as a county are interrelated with all the other counties. We're obviously one nation for the time being until obviously Irish and Scottish independence. I don't know what the Welsh are doing, but well, they're basically the Irish that couldn't swim, so they'll probably join that. Anyway, the point being is we kind of have to wake up. We can't have major HS2. Forget it. None of those things. That won't work anymore. We've been in the sustainable development arena me personally, with Can Do Arts for Sustainable Development for 23 years. I think sometimes people think we just do the alternative education. We don't. We work right across the piece, with industry, with government, national, here, there and everywhere, local. So again, that's why I had such a lovely conversation with Councillor Ashley O'Neill today. Really seems like an enlightened being that understands the value of common unity, that which unifies us commonly. Back to you, Donna. You know what I mean now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you have to agree with me that, county farms and us, I'm not talking about Chippenham, I'm talking about the locality of, all the parishes, all the towns. We need to think about not big major developments. We need to think about interconnectivity. We need to replace what was the youth service with something, with some buildings where people could meet would be good. It's as good as this place is for the time being, and we really appreciate Eagle One giving this and the community an opportunity, but we really need to have community buildings that, particularly in times of great need, people can come together safely. Think about if floods, think about all those people that have just been in Manchester and right across Wales or wherever they were emergency evacuated. It happens every year. I feel so sorry for all people from Doncaster, from everywhere that are constantly Hebden Bridge. We need to really get right to, hence why Avon Needs Trees and that initiative. It would help with our flood protection, all sorts of stuff. Anyway,
I think one of those areas is like, talk about farming, sort of brings you to sort of talk about food, and also about isolation as well, and what you were just saying about places for people to meet in part of their community.
And Wi-Fi for everyone.
Without
Wi-Fi,
services,
without
common access to really
for
fast
rural
broadband
areas.
for everybody, without public transport services, all those things. People's loneliness. Prior to lockdown, there was a big national loneliness survey that found people were more isolated and more lonely than they'd ever been. And it's strange because I was thinking yesterday, I spent hours and hours and hours and hours and hours on Zoom calls on the phone yesterday. Did nothing but communicate all day. And the weird thing about lockdown sometimes is there's constant communication but a lack of connection. And people increasingly feel less connected, and having places where you go, things you can pick up, things that you can see, things that you can touch are so hugely important to all of our existence, this sort of tactile experience. Again, getting a chance to have community gardens, community allotments, getting your hands dirty, access to those things feels ever more important, and understanding how things come from, and building people's resilience and resources, because the other side of it is we have become quite reliant on being able to push a button to get this, do this to find out something, and get something pre-packaged in a big bit of plastic to cook, right down to having the banana wrapped up in plastic. And lots of those things don't make sense about how we eat, how we cook, how we join together. So one of the things I think is, to go back to what you said about life hacks, is almost learning to cook from what you've got available. What you said earlier about seasonal stuff is that we can be much more flexible in what we cook, how we cook, from the resources that we have around us, rather than feeling that we need to sort of import something in a big bit of plastic from somewhere and then follow a recipe to the detail and buy things specially. You can cook really, really cheaply for lots of people from scratch in minutes. And there's all sorts of ways you can do that. We're hoping to do a bit more of that.
We'll do some filmed ones.
Yeah.
As part of this podcast, and people will send theirs in.
Yeah. And I think we've got
Alex
a bit.
Moran's going to do some.
We've got a bit intimidated by we have to cook certain meals in certain ways and things, but you can experiment and play and make things from not.
It's really good for the mind.
Yeah.
Cooking is like doing magic, isn't it? It's like alchemy, turning various things, and that's why it's important to intergenerational projects where people are going to garden together. We're going to need to farm the land together. It's like it's go back in time, before the time of tractors, the what's his name, Jethro Tull, etc., etc. Well, not, but whatever it is, it can't depend on the flow of traffic from wherever the continent, either by planes or anything else. Forget about economy. That is it's an interesting concept, but it's a man-made construct. Our nature says we have to shelter, have food. So we haven't got enough, shelter, and if we haven't prioritised shelter, we've definitely got enough houses already built. We just need to allocate them in a different way.
Some of the amazing grassroots projects we've seen sort of around the place, or
Salford,
like
and Grimsby,
Salford, where the residents
London,
on this estate
Cornwall,
had basically taken over the park. Planted loads of vegetables all over the park, and had chickens in the children's playground. So they were all around, and it was, and there were lots of bits like that in Glasgow. There's community gardens, community allotments, people all coming together, and loads less. What's the word?
Pippa.
It's like sometimes gardening or growing stuff gets to get a bit of an exclusive. People think it's a bit exclusive. Was that a chicken?
No, Craig Mann running down the beach.
That's bullying.
No, it wasn't. He was just
bullying.
running with his.
That is bullying. That's bullying Craig.
I'm not bullying Craig. I'm bullying chickens.
Telling being a chicken. Yeah, that's not nice.
Okay, sorry, Craig.
Yeah.
Come in and do an interview, Craig.
It's not nice.
Yeah, okay, I do
I'll talk
apologise.
to you then, Craig. Not him.
You can have an interview with,
Yeah.
well, Man United at the top of the league. He's going to be delighted. Don't worry about him. He's
Right.
going to be in a very good
Apart
mood.
from needing Craig in every situation.
Yeah.
I mean, that could be a life hack. Get Craig.
Yeah, he's great.
No,
Get Craig. Get Craig!
Yeah, get Craig. That'll be all right. But yeah, so it's all encompassing, isn't it? It's about life. It's about living. It's reducing our egos as well. You know, it's like, as Ed said, it's about community. And if you find yourself thinking that you, or any of us find ourselves thinking either that we have more ideas than everybody else, or do more than everybody else, or are more special than anybody else, we maybe need to rethink how we live and share a little bit and value each other's contribution right across the board.
Yeah.
Because you never know what
Yeah.
people are doing. You never know what people are doing, whether they're working really hard, 15, 20 hours a day.
Yeah, well, the
you know.
people that work in shops,
Yeah, absolutely.
supermarkets, what about all
Yeah.
those people?
Yeah.
Fantastic. They're as frontline as anyone else.
So,
We need
yeah.
food, don't we? These people, we've got to stop being rude to each other.
Yeah.
And let's say thank you to Rachel Melody. Check out her website, beautiful art, part of the refugee project. Ava Needs Trees, talk about that. We'll put some links into that. Also, this Khan initiative, I'll be interested in finding out more.
Yeah.
And other initiatives around Wiltshire wood recycling, all sorts of good stuff, great artists, and I know that Brian will be segueing an interview that Brian did with Chloe Jacquet. Chloe Jacquet, she's
Can
real
I
good.
just mention very
Chloe
quickly
Jacquet.
Kinder
Yeah.
Kitchen,
Kinder
who,
Kitchen,
who
yes.
are making meals for families who need a little bit extra around Chippenham and Melksham area,
Brilliant.
who are coordinating all sorts of efforts very quietly behind the scenes,
Yeah.
which is lovely.
Yeah. Brian Reed, myself, I'm just saying the highlights of last week's open mic, were for me was the Pixie song by Ben P, Tom Mallard, and Jake Coleman. Is that who was on it just then?
Yeah.
It's fantastic. Check it out. Check out the open mic every Wednesday. Maya, what are you saying to me?
The
You're
donations.
Oh
reached
yeah,
1,000
sorry.
pounds.
Listen, I talked about the Croatian earthquake appeal that we had put up, trying to raise £1,000, which we've got from far away, from Ireland, from all over England, Chippenham, and fantastic support from people around here, and literally around here. But we're pleased to say that we've reached £1,000. We are going to link some photographs about an initiative we're working on with the Rotarians in Zagreb, and then we're over the week's going to talk about more to do with Ava Needs Trees and different aspects of that project, other artists and interviews, different life hacks, different what you're going to do when the pandemic's finished. Besides hugging someone, what are you going to do? What's the first thing you're going to do? Don't say punch me, because that's just rude. It was bad.
Ah, it's a good idea that.
What?
Punching you.
What are you going to do? The first thing you do besides hugging someone, what are you going to do?
I was thinking about that.
Well, good, because I said to you.
And I was thinking, what is it?
Well, mate, if you haven't got an answer, I
I
haven't got
think,
time to wait.
I
You
think
go.
it's being able to, and I
It's
don't
long
know if
enough.
it's related to lockdown
Yeah.
or not, but
No.
actually not
When-
having a mask on and being able to smile at little children,
Wow.
and
that's
little children being
creepy.
able to see all our faces, just
Yeah.
being kind of more real rather than kind of.
No, I
shuffling
understand.
past
It's a
people.
strange time for a child to
Yeah,
be growing up, but then all of them are. It's never been.
Yeah.
1 in 4 young people have got problems with their mental health. Well, I'd say that 1 in 4 people. I think everyone must have. Everyone's mental health must surely be challenged.
Yeah.
Who could be possibly benefit? Well, I know that there are people capitalising out of the situation of, and I guess that will be settled when the dust settled about all those contracts that were given to people's friends, etc. But regardless of that, let's talk about
What do you want to do?
what do I want to do. Well, you know me, Donna.
What's the first thing you would like to apart from Punch Me?
Well, there's the tri-cultural project we're doing between Ireland and Croatia. Get that going. We've got some great initiatives.
So it's like
Work more with the Rotarians in
somewhere.
Chippenham.
Yeah, travelling?
Well, we want to offset. No, I'm not going, am I? You guys are going. Offset just want to get it going with the young people to go to these different places. Offset the carbon by doing hopefully initiatives with Avon Needs Trees and planting trees in Ireland and in Croatia, doing environmental. So all the layers of what we as members of any community need to be able to do, help each other out in desperate need, dire need, earthquakes and pandemics. But there's constant poverty, isn't there? There's constant poverty. How can that? Let's change that. It shouldn't be constant poverty. People shouldn't have more than one house until everyone's got one, type of thought on it. I'm not a socialist, I'm not an ist, I'm not none of those things. Don't believe in party politics, but I do believe in people and I do believe in the community. So that's my tuppence.
Dancing.
You're going to dance?
Lots of people dancing.
Oh, you want to see lots of people
No,
dancing?
be part of that, yeah.
I wouldn't mind.
That'd
I'd
be
like to
really
go personally. Like to go to see Tottenham play, which people might say that's probably a stupid thing to do, but I don't care.
Personal and global things, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. But go to galleries, go to things. I'm going to sound terribly pretentious now. Yes, of course, do some deep art. Go to Geordieland, go to Northumberland to do our feature film, to do First Class or Gordon and Bennett as a feature film, which we were planning for last summer. Take our young people up there as part of that project. Go to the wonderful, people of Alnwick and the surrounding areas and the beaches and all the culture and the fantastic community of Alnwick. Work alongside our good friends at My Life Productions and do the work down in London. There's just so many stuff. There's so much stuff. And it's really so much stuff. But what I really hope is that the people that are in most need now, and a lot of them are young people around the mental health, these initiatives and others linked can help in some way shine a light on the direction of getting out of this in a emotionally and mindful mental health.
That we understand each other's
way.
lives better.
Yeah. Cool.
Give people a voice.
See you people.
Yeah.
Take it easy. See you next time.
Bye.
Thank you, Maya.
Bye.
Bye.
Spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, just another speck in the cosmic shower. All the universe held within the flowers. Messing with your head just to feel somehow, getting more desperate by the hour. Looking to the stars for a sign of hope. quest for power. Cruelty gets stronger by the hour. Everyone is looking out for number one. Standing on the